Coming up, countdown to votes. 2 potential vice presidents take center stage.
Big utensils and an even bigger impact. Community comes together to begin working on a new project.
Live from Chicago with all your Big Ten Media Day updates.
October kicks off with pleasant temperatures, but are they here to stay? I'll have more for you in weather.
All that and more
coming up right now on DITV.
Good morning from Iowa City. It's Wednesday, October 2nd, and I'm Hannah Lipsky.
And I'm Johnny Valtman.
And the third member of our team, Nick Isles, is live outside to tell us today's weather story.
Nick, it was beautiful outside yesterday. Is the door finally opening up to this fall weather?
Thanks, guys. Even with the leaves starting to change, the pleasant wet temperatures are here to stay. I'm standing outside the main library right now, where it is a brisk 46 degrees. Looking at the rest of the day, expect temperatures to reach a high point of about 78 degrees before cooler weather moves in tonight. Tomorrow, a mainly sunny sky will bring a high of about 82 degrees in the late afternoon. I will be back for an extended forecast of this week's weather. Back to you guys in the studio.
News Director Jace Bertrand has the full recap from last night's vice presidential debate.
On Tuesday, Tim Walz and J.D. Vance faced off in their first and only debate of the 2024 election. For many voters, this was both nominees' first chance to introduce themselves and their policies. Similar to the presidential debate in September, key issues such as abortion and immigration were central to the debates.
So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations.
We had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle, wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation. Pass the bill, she'll sign it.
Let voters make these decisions. Let the individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place.
Unlike the presidential debate, however, exchanges between the two nominees remained relatively cordial as both Walz and Vance aimed their attacks on each other's running mates. While vice presidential debates historically affect the outcome of an election very little, the exchange did offer voters a chance to learn more about their future leaders. Meanwhile, in Iowa City, some of these voters gathered to watch the debate unfold. I'll send it to DITV's Julia Rhodes, who was at a gathering for one side of the political spectrum.
I'm here at Field Day Brewing Company, where the Democratic Party from Johnson County has gathered to watch the debate. The Democrats watched as Vance and Walz faced off. But as the conversation commenced, many of the viewers had opinions on each candidate's values and performances, especially J.D. Vance.
He just comes off as a fake, like a snake oil salesman, a false preacher, just trying to gaslight and stretch the truth to his advantage.
However, many viewers also thought the calm nature of the debate was commendable to both parties. Onlookers compared the respect and undisturbed nature of each candidate to past debates.
It's got to be very easy when you're on the stage with Donald Trump to get worked up.
It wasn't all criticism, as there was a lighthearted Tim Walz lookalike costume contest, where the winner left with a free Harris Walz yard sign. They also used the time to write postcards to voters in Jay Gorsh's district, reminding them to vote for him.
It's an important race here in Johnson County, one of the many races on our path to the majority as Democrats.
The Democrats are focusing on the importance of local upcoming elections and how these will affect the future of the state of Iowa as well as the nation. Johnson County Democrats are using their voices in hopes of making a change. Now we'll send it to Kayla Smith, where members of the Republican Party are gathered together to watch the candidates go head-to-head.
Thanks, Julia. I'm here at the Iowa Memorial Union, where Young Americans for Freedom are hosting their watch party for the final scheduled debate of this election cycle. A group of around a dozen Young American for Freedom members came together to support Ohio Senator J.D. Vance in his vice presidential debate against Minnesota Governor Tim Walz.
and the American people need to hear is who these people are, why they go into office, and what they stand for.
Some members of the organization viewed this as an opportunity for voters to understand who J.D. Vance is, independent from former President Donald Trump.
That's more of an American dream type story that the American people can gravitate around. I think that's easier for people to connect with than, say, Trump's upbringing.
He's his own man. So Vance is his own man. He has his own ideas of what America should be. He's told them in the debate. He's not agreeing with Trump on everything, and that's, to be certain. Everyone's their own person.
Many members felt that this debate was more civilized than the presidential debate in September and praised the candidates' ability to talk about policies and appreciate the other side of the political aisle.
I like how they keep referring to each other's sides, mentioning both good and bad of either side. Shows that they're human, not just because they're on the opposite side that everything they do is bad.
It's not constant back and forth. You're actually, hearing and having a dialogue.
With only 34 days until Election Day, both voters and candidates are hoping that this debate will be the final push that either side needs to win the White House come November. From the Iowa Memorial Union, this is Kayla Smith, DITV.
More coming out of the Middle East as the war between Hamas and Israel expands. Iran launched 200 missiles into Israel yesterday in defense of Gaza and Lebanon, two of their allies in the Middle East. This comes after Israel began a ground invasion into Lebanon in retaliation against Hezbollah attacks on northern Israel.
Iran made a big mistake tonight, and it will pay for it.
Israel claims it is trying to push Hezbollah away from the border, while Iran and Lebanon are claiming Israel is attempting to gain more territory. Over 1,000 people have died in Israeli airstrikes in Lebanon since Israel's pager explosions began last week. The U.S. has been bracing for retaliatory Iranian attacks after Israeli attacks on Hamas and Hezbollah leaders.
And let us be clear, Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region, American interests, and innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and backed terrorist proxies.
Iran had previously warned that any ground invasion into their allies' territory would provoke a military response. Iran claims its attacks have ended and will not carry out any more strikes unless further provoked.
Yesterday marked 7 years since the 1 October shooting in Las Vegas, Nevada. The shooting occurred after gunman Stephen Paddock opened fire on the attendees of the Route 91 Country Festival from his Mandalay Bay hotel room. 60 attendees were killed in the shooting, not including the gunman. An additional 867 were injured, making this the deadliest mass shooting in American history. Following the shooting, bump stock extensions to AR-15s were federally banned by the Trump administration, but this ban has since been overturned by the Supreme Court. Negotiations with American dock workers have stalled, leading to a nationwide strike by these workers. More than 45,000 workers are joining the picket lines. Ports from New York to Houston are being impacted. West Coast ports will not be affected by the strike as they are represented by a different union and agreed to a new contract last year. The union workers are striking over wages and usage of automation.
Fighting for our rights, fighting for our families.
Our members have done the homework. They know their worth, and essentially they demand fair wages and better benefits.
Including cars, medication, and more are at risk of having their prices shoot through the roof due to the strike.
The fraternity Fiji and one of its members has been dropped from an upcoming lawsuit. McKenna Solberg dropped charges against the fraternity and member Jacob Malone stemming from an alleged sexual assault at a party in 2020. One member, Carson Steffen, is still facing a charge of sexually assaulting Solberg. The trial begins on November 5th.
Johnson County leaders met with University of Iowa Democrats Monday night to talk about a bond that is on the ballot next month.
So the conservation bond is an opportunity for us, as the voters, to invest in our future.
The $30 million bond will be used for Johnson County trails and natural areas. In 2008, a similar bond was passed that led to multiple conservation projects. A key issue, though, for some Johnson County leaders is the bond's placement on the ballot.
And this is the very last thing on the ballot. Like, you literally have to flip the ballot over and go to the very bottom of it.
The previous grant turned a $20 million bond into a $37 million investment back into the community. If granted the money, the conservationists will be able to keep natural areas from being destroyed, creating new natural areas and trails, and produce more revenue for the county.
I want to have trails, I want to have single track trails, I want to have fishing spots, I want to have the University of Iowa activities, I want to have entertainment venues, because then you will come here.
The bond will be included on the November 5th ballot, along with the presidential and House of Representative races. Police are investigating reports of an assault at West High School on Monday. Police say that a high school-aged female was approached by a dark-skinned male wearing jeans and a dark-colored hoodie before being assaulted. Iowa City Area Crime Stoppers is offering a reward of up to $1,000 for any information that could help lead to an arrest. And Iowa City Police are asking for nearby properties to review security camera footage for any leads on the suspect.
Over the weekend, violence broke out at a local bar. 2 men are facing charges after physically assaulting employees at El Rey's Live and Dive late Saturday night. Caught on camera, Iowa City residents Dwayne Scott and Chicago resident Christopher Williams are allegedly found repeatedly assaulting 2 of El Rey's employees after a riot. They were accused of kicking, stomping, and punching their victims. The debate over a new drug took center stage at last night's City Council meeting. DITV's Ryan Paris is standing by in the newsroom to tell us more about the fight for kratom in Iowa City.
Anna, kratom is classified as a stimulant drug used for its pain-relieving effects as an alternative to opioids. It currently has no regulation in how it's used, including no legal age to begin use. Alcohol use. They also say it's no more dangerous than other common drugs.
I don't think that we are in a position to say we will ban kratom when we are also allowing cigarettes and tobacco.
Opponents argue that there are too many unknowns when it comes to kratom use, citing it has many of the same safety concerns as opioids.
But if those effects are true and it has a significant effect on the human body, and we don't have really good research on that effect. We don't have physicians prescribing this.
Kratom is also seen as a threat that hits close to home in Iowa City.
Also, in the last month, we had somebody in our community die. And the obituary says, in lieu of flowers, consider donating some time to write your state and federal congressional representative to raise awareness of kratom.
After opening the floor to the public, followed by debate amongst the council voted 4-1 to ban kratom in Iowa City. Josh Moe, Mazahir Salih, Mayor Bruce Teague, and Sean Harmson voted in favor, while Megan Alter voted against the ban. Back to you guys in the studio.
A step towards the future. $1 million investment is coming to Johnson County. DITV's Grace Lathrop took a trip to North Liberty to witness a unique ceremony to begin steps towards a bigger goal.
I am here in North Liberty to witness the groundbreaking of a new food pantry set to be ready to go in the summer of 2025. Over 50 people came to witness the new monumental step for the organization. This is a big change for the pantry as they are branching out on their own to make a difference.
There is a need in the community that has grown tremendously, and we want to be able to meet that need.
The new space will be able to host more volunteers who are committed to serving their community.
Seeing the joy and the connections that are being made at the pantry every day has just been so inspiring, and I can't wait to continue to do that.
Ryan Bobst, executive director of the organization, spoke on this new location's importance to the community.
This larger space is going to be over 10,000 square feet, so nearly 4 times as large, and give us the capacity to better serve our neighbors.
Bobst invited different groups of partners and volunteers to use giant utensils to be the first ones to break ground at the new location site.
And this new facility and this Planting New Roots campaign help meet both of those values, and that's really important to me and all of our volunteers and staff and board of directors.
The North Liberty Food Pantry continues to make a difference one meal at a time. This is Grace Lathrop, DITV.
Now let's take a look back outside with Nick for the forecast for the week ahead.
Hey guys, as we continue to move through the weeks of October, don't worry about anything too scary involving the weather. We're taking a live look out at the Pentacrest, where you can expect the high to be about 77 degrees on Friday. This caps off a start to a warm and windy weekend. Saturday's warmth will mark a high of about 87 with winds up to 15 to 25 miles per hour. On Sunday, things start to cool down to about 76 with gusty winds by the end of the weekend. This begins a gradual drop in heat with predicted highs of about 71 degrees on Monday and 76 on Tuesday. That's all for now on the weather in Iowa City. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Nick. Now, basketball season is starting with student tickets going on sale yesterday.
Yes, Hannah. And with that, we have DITV Sports Director AJ Reister, who is live in Chicago for Big Ten Media Day. We'll send it out to him for today's sports.
Yeah, guys, I'm live from the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Chicago for the men's and women's Big Ten Media Days. Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti is inside right now giving his opening address, and then in about 10 minutes, new Iowa women's basketball head coach Jan Jensen will be taking the stage. Then after that, we'll have a chance to talk with Villanova transfer Lucy Olson and fellow preseason Big Ten first-teamer Hannah Stolke. But of course, the biggest storyline will be around the absence of Caitlin Clark and the legendary senior class of Kate Martin, Gabby Marshall, and Molly Davis. There'll also be some questions around Sydney Folter, as it was announced yesterday that she will be sidelined with a leg injury until early November. And then tomorrow, Fran McCaffrey and the men's basketball team will take the podium. Preseason All-Big Ten nominee Peyton Sanford and Big Ten Freshman of the Year Owen Freeman will be the two players representing the black and gold. Similar story to the women's team, a lot of new faces with Tony Perkins, DeSante Bowen, and Patrick McCaffrey hitting the transfer portal, and big man Ben Krikke graduating. But also expect some storylines around Peyton Sanford and his return to Iowa after he originally entered the NBA draft, but decided to come back for his senior year. A lot of action here in Chicago. You can catch it all on the Daily Iowan website and YouTube page. I'll be back later with the rest of sports, but for now, I'll send it to DITV Assistant Sports Director Brady Barron, who talked with the Iowa football team yesterday ahead of their matchup against Ohio State.
After winning their first road test of the season at Minnesota, the Hawkeyes got a bit of a rest with the bye week before heading up to Columbus.
I don't know if we can choose the bye weeks, but they bless us with where they're at. Just coming off a fresh week, excited to get back out there.
With the extra preparation, the Hawkeyes know what challenge lies ahead.
You don't get too many chances throughout your career to play top 5, top 10 teams too often. So anytime you do, you got to cherish that moment and bring your best.
But through it all, the Hawkeyes are ready to rise to the occasion.
I'm not the type of person that like want to beat the top dogs. I don't want to be with them. I want to beat them. So it's just like always a thing for me to show what I got.
Kickoff is set for 2:30 on Saturday. From the Hanson Football Performance Center, Brady Barron, DITV Sports.
Yeah, thanks, Brady. And for some more news in Iowa City, an Iowa volleyball player was the first freshman to be named Big Ten Freshman of the Week since September of 2017. Malu Garcia from Hawaii received the honor for her standout performances and wins against Rutgers and Maryland. From the two games, Garcia totaled 28 kills and 14 blocks and currently leads all Big Ten freshmen with 138 total kills and averages 2.76 kills per set. The freshman will look to keep her hot streak going as the Hawkeyes take on 25th ranked Washington on Friday. They'll send it back to Nick in Iowa City with the rest of weather.
To finish off our weather segment today, here are some of the latest updates regarding Hurricane Helene. Search crews and other first responders are continuing to search for victims of the massive storm. Helene has claimed over 160 lives, and the death toll is still counting. In the Carolinas, the overall recovery effort is predicted to cost billions of dollars. Today, President Biden is leaving for North and South Carolina to see the destruction himself. The hurricane heavily impacted 6 states in the southeast, making it one of the deadliest in U.S. history. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you for joining us live or listening on KRUI 89.7 FM.
We are here live from Iowa City every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8:30 a.m. and online anytime at thedailyiowan.com. For Ryan Paris, Nick Isles, AJ Reister, I'm Johnny Valtman.
And I'm Hannah Lipsky. See you again on Friday morning right here on DITV.